Yeah, I think that we have seen so many surprises and so many comebacks already up until this point from Madrid that things are not going to surprise us the way they did probably in the 2018 final, which was, I think no other road to the final has been fraught with, so many comebacks and like heart attack inducing moments. I think this one was this one was the most yeah, it was the most strenuous of them all for a fan. I obviously for the players, but also to watch as a fan, as a Real Madrid fan. So both Rodrigo and Camavinga to me are more effective as super subs, and they'll be more effective when they come into the game late. And then there is like this, the pace of the game changes because by then there is a lull. If you see that pattern in the different games, there is always this lull that happens somewhere after half time, and when there is when both the teams are like figuring out what do we do now, and depending on the intensity of the game goes down a little bit, and around that whatever 60th minute or something, depending on how the play is going, when Carlo makes those like tactical substitutions in the form of Camavinga, and so Valverde can still play on when a Camavinga comes in or a Rodrigo comes in. He can come on because one of the others like a cross can be subbed off.
To me, when I look at Benzema going ahead, up against Verge, I think it's the game is going to be done on these air balls. Do you think it's going to be a game where Benzema is going to play through the legs or with his head, or is Cardo's system going to be such that the players around him, the ones who overlap, Vinny on one side and maybe Valverde or it could be Rodrigo on the other side. Well, yeah, will that really work out this time?
Yeah, so I think one of the things with Benzema is that he's not your Haaland kind of a player, or he's not a conventional like striker, right? Because he's there, he does so much more, and
He was an exact
than just
striker, Benzema.
no, because he's a very like well-rounded striker. Let's put it that way. He runs. His positioning is insane because he'll run into these positions anticipating things where you would never think he would be. So it's very difficult to sort of mark him, because where do you go? He's not going to just play in one position. He'll go down the left, he'll go down the right, he'll go down the center, he'll pop up somewhere between like the two defenders. He will his positioning is absolutely insane.
Conquered all of Europe, we're never gonna stop. From Paris down to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. But Paisley and Bill Shankly, the fields of Anfield Road. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool. Ale, ale, ale. Ale, ale, ale. Ale, ale, ale. Ale, ale, ale.
Hi, Dhinuka. Welcome to the Deluded Reds podcast. And
Hi, nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhinuka. And yeah, for guys who are listening in for the first time, I think Dhinuka is a member from Bombay Pina. That's how it's pronounced, right? Pina?
Bombay Pena.
Pena. Right. Nice. And yeah, we're going to talk about Liverpool and Madrid today. And of course, we're going to talk about Bale, who just messed things up for Liverpool fans last time around. But we're not really sure if he's going to come on this time. So the finals and Bale, and if not Bale, who else is going to be on the bench who will come and who will just mess with us? Because it clearly looks like Madrid is a team which comes back, it gives comebacks towards the end of games. So where do you think this is going, Dhinuka? Which player is going to make that difference?
Yeah, I think that we have seen so many surprises and so many comebacks already up until this point from Madrid that things are not going to surprise us the way they did probably in the 2018 final, which was, I think no other road to the final has been fraught with, so many comebacks and like heart attack inducing moments. I think this one was this one was the most it was the most strenuous of them all for a fan. I obviously for the players, but also to watch as a fan, as a Real Madrid fan. I think this one was the most difficult to get to this point. But I'm super happy. And I think that because we've faced such a plethora of teams coming to this finals, there will be that confidence. It's not the same feeling for the fans, for the players, for Carlo, that was there when we faced, say, PSG in the second leg. I think it's a very different feeling among the fans and among, I think, the general public also going into this game. So while I know this time the narrative is completely different because Real Madrid are touted as the underdogs and Liverpool are the favorites to win.
Really?
And fairly so. Yeah. So if you look at all the sites and everywhere, going into this finals, Liverpool were considered favorites to win, and to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised, or I wouldn't take offense to that at all, because fair enough, Liverpool has had a fantastic season leading up to this, and I don't believe that anybody had an easy path to the finals. So it was on Bayern to mess up. They messed up, not Liverpool. So it would have been like people would have been saying something completely different if it was a Liverpool versus Bayern finals, because semis. So so fair enough. Liverpool have been a very good, all-rounded, well-rounded team, performing on all departments, and I've always said this: Liverpool has been one of the teams to beat. Like, if you have to, for me personally, when they asked me which team do you not want, and I actually said Liverpool after drawing PSG and whatnot, not that round, but the one after that, and I said I'd rather face Liverpool just in the finals, because if you have to win the cup, you have to beat them. But other than that, I would rather not face them. So rightly so, I would say. And Real Madrid have no one, like many people didn't expect Real Madrid to be every time it was against PSG. People were like, this is PSG's year. They've got the superstars. They've got the big team. So Real Madrid's going to go out. But survived that. Then there was Chelsea. Chelsea were the favorites going in. They said, this Chelsea team is too strong. Real Madrid's going to crash out because, they're not being consistent, whatnot.
And they also won last time, right?
They won the last time, defending champions, exactly. And Chelsea was the one who knocked Real Madrid out last time around in the Champions League. So there was that narrative that, they are going to knock Real Madrid out this time around as well. And then going into Man City, it was like, there's no chance against Man City, because Man City is the player of has the players of the season this time. And they are like the most insane team in world football and club football right now. Yeah, and like so many superstars. I would say that more than PSG, it was the individual quality of each of those players on the Man City team. So, but then that happened, and so yeah, here we are in the finals. So it's a very different feeling from when we were facing PSG in the second leg to this time around. So we've faced so many different teams. Now the confidence, I think, is much higher, because it's one of those things, throw anything at us and we'll take it. So
right. Okay, I have an interesting I'm interested in knowing this one thing. Okay, what's the difference between the Real Madrid team that played last season and this season? You guys did well last season. Beat us in the quarters. I think semis you all lost to Chelsea. From the looks of it, I felt last year you guys were a better team. You guys were playing better together last year. This year, to be very honest, you guys pulling off results, but I couldn't see gameplay at its peak this time around. Okay, that's what I think. How is it? What's your perspective on this?
So I think last year was an off year for both Liverpool and for Real Madrid. Okay, and I think you guys were plagued with injuries. Real Madrid was plagued with injuries. We didn't have Ramos. We didn't have and last year was a freak injury season for Real with over 65 injuries in one single season. It has never happened earlier. So although we had players, we still didn't have a Ronaldo. We didn't have the Vinicius from this season last season. Although he did perform in that Liverpool game, the first leg.
All the games you have to pick the Liverpool game and bring that.
I'm not even kidding. Yeah, and I have like friends who are Liverpool fans, right? So when before for the preview, we did a preview, and even when we were talking offhandedly about the the game, and I was like, guys, you don't have to fear Vinicius, man. The guy is just not. He's not finishing. He'll do all the hard work and he'll do all the dribbling and everything. He'll run forward, make all those fantastic runs, but the guy just can't finish. And I'm like, I don't know what is wrong with him. He's such a talented guy, etc., etc., etc. Cut to like the match happens, and then they are all like, what did you say about Vinicius? And I'm like, you guys, I'm not making this up. Watch the La Liga games, and everyone, including Vinicius, was surprised. So anyway, that aside, so we did not have the Vinicius from this season, last season, for sure. We did not have Vinicius from last season, this season, also in terms of linking up with Benzema and, so one of the main reasons why Benzema is also performing the way he's performing, a lot of it is also to do with the link up with Vinicius and the
I think they're complementing each other very, very well.
Exactly. The link up between those two, I think I read a stat somewhere. It's insane, the number of like 10 and 17 or something like that. And it's crazy that in one season these two have combined so well. Especially having a disaster of a season last season where, words were said by Benzema about Vinicius, and to come back and have this kind of chemistry and like playing so well together. So there is that factor. Then you have Benzema.
I don't know, what was this happened last year? What was these?
Benzema just got frustrated one fine day and he just said, I swear he's playing. I swear on my mother that he's playing for the other team, for Vinicius.
Damn.
Yeah. And that was like something, right? Like Benzema doesn't go out and make such comments and statements.
He's very humble guy, seems like.
He is very humble. He does not get into all of these things like spoken words. He doesn't get into too much of a controversy and whatnot. And there were so many memes, like even with Kroos, right? When the whole there was a sparring with Kroos and the I think Chelsea player, maybe it was Mount. And there was this meme soon after where Vinicius, again in a crucial match, missed sitters. And there was this pic where, like Kroos had his hands on his head. Benzema is on the ground with like, oh my God, what do I do with this kid? And Vinicius has just like missed a sitter, right? And people were like, Mount will not make Kroos lose sleep, but Vinicius will. And so it was, I'm not even joking where, I'm saying that the turnaround that Vinicius has shown this time around, it's surprised everyone, every single person. Not one person would have believed that in one season, like he'll have this kind of a sort of comeback story. So anyway, so coming back to the whole point about the team on the whole. So it is Vinicius, his individual form, his linking up with Benzema, which also enables Benzema to sort of play the game he has been playing so far. And what a season he has had, because he is in God mode, creating chances out of nowhere. Benzema was in form last season. He is in a different mode this season, I would say. We didn't have that last season. We didn't have Ramos last season. Varane was coming off of injuries, and he was not kind of the World Cup winner that we were seeing, the three-peat Champions League centre back that he was. You couldn't see that in Varane last season because of injuries and many other reasons. And
you could have guessed this, right? Like both Ramos and Varane, your first choice centre backs, both leave in the summer, and then no one expected Real to make it to the finals.
No one. And we signed one Alaba. We didn't even sign two CBs left. And forget the fact that one CB is our like captain and our sort of, the motivational factor for Real Madrid and is way more than a CB. You don't sign a replacement for two of your world-class three-peat winning CBs. and just head into the season with one Alaba, who was basically, it was a toss-up. He might work. We'd never seen him play earlier with this kind of a team in this kind of a setup. And how I would just say we need to thank our stars that Alaba just clicked. He looks like he's been playing for Madrid for years, and he's gelled with this team like so well. No one saw that coming. So that was serendipitous. Militao, I know, is in some kind of a weird funk right now. I don't know what is happening with that guy. But for the first half of the season and until I think 2 months back, Militao was, with one off game here and there, had a solid season. He had a very good season. He was immense as a CB. He has won us so many games. It was crazy. And that whole and Mendy, Falan Mendy, coming from injuries, like you could see the difference he made when he came back after an injury, and Real Madrid were a different side. We struggled without him on the left. So I think in the first half of the season, this team was solid and gave real tough competition to everyone. And until I think the PSG first leg and that fatigue factor set in at that point, I always say how the fatigue factor set in, I think a little bit for Liverpool post AFCON, and when you suddenly had a leading up to, I would say, the FA Cup final. No, not even the FA Cup finals. The league, final game of the league. You've had a tough run up to across all competitions when it comes to
17 games almost in the span of 30 days.
Exactly, right. And so Real Madrid had that phase too, and that was around, I think, after when there was that when all the Brazilian players, the Uruguayan, so Valverde and Vinicius and all of these people had to go for national team duty.
Right, correct.
And then and then they had to come back, play the Super Copa, which happened in Riyadh, which happened in Saudi, right? So these guys had to go to Brazil, then to come back to Saudi, play in Saudi, come back to Madrid, then go back, come back. Like it was nuts, and it was a crazy time. And you could see the dip in form at that point. Like people started plateauing, all the players, and that was super worrying because it was also in the Champions League. That was the Champions League time as well, and I was like, what is going on? Why are we playing like this? And that is when that whole rotation thing and bench strength, and you can see that Liverpool has options, but when you see Real, you don't have an option. When people ask me, what do you think the first 11 is for Carlo, and I'm like, there is only one option. There's no plan B. This is the plan. It better work. It's one of those cases because it is what it is. So it's a very different team from last season, although it doesn't seem very different on paper. I would say that playing wise, it's a very different team. They are playing very differently. They are playing under a different manager who has different tactics, who tried different things. And I think at this point is his best. Like he's in tune with the fans, the players, the rest of the world when it comes to key substitutions and understanding the strengths and weaknesses of the players. So we didn't have this last season. We didn't have a Camavinga. We didn't have Vinicius who was performing this way. Valverde was immense under Zidane, but I think he has developed more this season.
Right. I mean, the way I see Valverde link up, right, with Modric, this guy, and I'm surprised how this guy plays on the wing, also pulls off equally good performances. He plays sometimes holding mid. I've seen him play holding mid against City for some time. I'm like, what the hell is that? And then he's playing up front.
And that was, because it's necessary, right? Like I said, we don't have a plan B. So at one point against Chelsea, Dani Carvajal was playing a centre back in extra time because we don't have anyone. Like they've thrown everyone at it. Like Lucas Vazquez is playing with Dani Carvajal I'm like, what is this? Like in your wildest dreams, you wouldn't have imagined this kind of a back four because you don't have, people are suspended. Militao was suspended, I believe, in that game. So you don't have, first of all, you don't have your first choice, and then you go into extra time and players are fatigued, and you don't have, Vallejo was down with COVID, and Vallejo has not even played 5 games and all, I think. So, but even that was not an option because he was not there. He was he tested positive, and someone else, one of the kids from Castilla, whom I think Zidane relied on the youth team, like I think in the Champions League for so long last season, and this time it didn't work out because even those kids were not given a chance, or they were not fit. So it was a complete mess this time around, and so Valverde has stepped up really well to that. And he played really well under Zidane as well. I would want to say that he was one of the breakout stars of last season. But with Zidane, he would, for a very long stretch, he started Kroos, Casemiro, Valverde, rather than use Modric. And this time around, Carlo has gone for a completely different tactic, right? He prefers KCM in the midfield, Kroos, Casemiro, and Modric. So for the longest time, yeah, one of my friends calls it MKC. I'm like, let's let's not let's not go there. I think we'll keep it PG and make it KCM. It's like it's a decent option. But yeah, so yeah, the he used to prefer Carlo prefers the old guard as opposed to using a Valverde. But now, thankfully, after that PSG game and after a bunch of games where we've messed up royally, he started using Valverde, and what a difference he's made. So yeah, so it's a huge difference in terms of the team, I would say.
Yeah, man. But I'm actually still very fearful of Camavinga when he comes on. I'm pretty sure he will come on. I don't think he'll start.
He will.
Like you said,
no, he won't start.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be pretty scared because he's got like a lot of energy. From what I've seen, he's pretty quick. Okay, he runs around. I think it might just be a problem for our midfield because it's a little aging midfield. We have Endo, Fabinho, and Thiago, and none of the three are known for their speed. So I hope that aspect is taken care of. But yeah, it is what it is, And speaking of Vinicius, right? You said how he's transformed last season to this season.
Yeah,
it was like a nail in the a coffin for Trent also. Like Trent is an amazing defender. Okay, people don't know that Trent is just because they have an option. Just because Liverpool play a high line and they play into the position's weakness, right? Trent gets a lot of people get behind him and they play okay, but they don't really know how well he does in one-on-ones, how well he does even against counter attacks. And when Vinicius did this, right, for the first time, I questioned myself, okay, what's up with Trent? Like, because there was for the good last 1-2 years, people have been going about Trent and not being able to defend. He's shit and he's all that. Okay, but yeah, Vinicius's pace was just blistering. I think that's the right word.
And let's put it. I'll be honest. The Liverpool from last season this Liverpool team is nowhere close to it's the other way around. The last season's Liverpool team is nowhere close to the form that this season's Liverpool team is in. And look, that was an off game for Trent. And if you've seen the last games, a couple of games at least, including the FA Cup finals, you can't say that Trent is bad at defending because he has defended well. He has in those games, you could see that. And you're right. And again, one of my Liverpool friends, she always mentions about how he is expected to attack. He is expected to go high up, and that's what he does best. That does not mean that he's not a good defender.
Exactly.
And I would completely agree with that. And I think he also has a point to prove, right? Like with Vinicius last time around, he also has that point to prove. So I think he'll be on his A game today as well. And for all of Vinicius's pace, there is this thing where, and I think this is where Liverpool is really dangerous because you need to attack well, you need to defend extremely well, you need to absorb their press. It's not easy to do everything because this is a very complete team. It's not like an Atletico which has one strategy and you can counter that, because here is a team that sort of attacks you on all aspects of the game. So it's not going to be easy, for sure. It's not going to be easy. And for the midfield, the way the midfield works with a Salah and a Mane, or your backline even, I think it's very it's going to be difficult because Salah and Mane will find spaces. They will. You have a Luis Diaz signing of the freaking winter signing of the season for sure across all leagues, I would say. But yeah, you also have Luis Diaz. You also have Salah, Mane. So the attack is, I think, nowhere a concern for Liverpool at all. And yeah, to stop Vinicius and Benzema, you will see that. So Vinicius did struggle against Hakimi. I will say that that was a different game, and it was a very, like, when you have an Mbappe on the right, like troubling Carvajal like it's no one's business. It also takes a toll on Vinicius because your right is completely dead. You have no options there with Asensio, so the burden sort of fell on Vinny. But Hakimi was able to trouble Vinny, and he could not find those gaps, and he could not go. With Christensen, he thrived because it was like on the one-on-one he lost out. But I think, and he struggled against Walker. Vinny struggled against Walker. So it's not like Vinicius can't struggle, but if you can cut the sort of link between Benzema and Vinicius and you make him struggle, it's a very different game altogether. And I think that is what Liverpool will try to do, given that. And another thing is also your the contest when it comes to, and I've been saying this throughout the season, the contest when it comes to set pieces and scoring off of those. We have struggled this season for that because we've lost Ramos, we've lost Varane, we've lost that aerial presence. Militao is not cutting it, and Alaba is not good at that. So that is a huge thing. You guys have Van Dijk. You look threatening on
that is an angle I never thought about. I think I think this is something which Klopp would certainly look to exploit in that case. Van Dijk, Konate, I don't know if Matip or Konate is going to start, but I think either of them start. Like, both of them are like beasts in the box. I think could be won or lost over there.
That is going to be immense.
Yeah. There's one other thing, okay? I mean, Champions League finals in general over the last few years have been pretty boring. Be it the 19 where we won, or even to a certain extent last year's Chelsea City final was
City Chelsea.
Yeah, it was like okay, it was a drag,
the KDB thing I think was overshadowed everything else more than the game itself, which was pretty blah.
Yeah, but I hope this time it's gonna be electric. I hope it's end to end this time.
It will be. I think it will be because of the kind of football the two teams have been playing. It's just like I've said, they are not the same team, but there are a lot of similarities in both these teams and the way they approach the game. So that's why it's going to be really interesting. So, and it's a clash at every point. Like Real Madrid would look to score on those counters, and Liverpool does not give you the ball. They try to take back possession as soon as that happens, and you can't attack them in that transition phase. So what does Real Madrid then do? Because if they drastically deviate from the plan, then it's like it's chaos all around. The midfield doesn't know what to do. The people start pressing randomly here and there, and there's total chaos. The players are all looking at each other saying, what are you doing? What is your game plan? What are you even thinking? So it's going to be very interesting because and Liverpool is the same in the sense that if they get flustered also, like if you press and first half is like there is no scoring happening, they also get flustered. And then it begins like, okay, what do we do? What are we doing wrong? What do we do? And then the game plan sort of starts changing. And the two teams are a very different beast when there is chaos happening all around. And I think those moments of individual brilliance, right, will play a huge role in such a case. Tactically, of course, it will be a big game, but also those moments of brilliance will come into the factor when there is that lull in the game and nothing is happening and that frustration is seeping in. So I think it'll be a very interesting game because of the way both the teams play.
Right. Nice. Okay. So there's just one point which I wanted to just like a heads up, I want to let you know about Liverpool. Okay. Since we were talking about being press resistant, that's something you guys need to know. Liverpool is not overpowering in any form. Okay, they're not overpowering in terms of pressing. They're not overpowering in terms of pinning you there. But there's a very nice balanced mix of everything in Liverpool's game these days. Okay, I think that's what's also helping Klopp have a injury-free season, and also a more controlled way to approach games. Okay, so I'm not sure if Vinicius would have that much of a big deal this time. At least it won't be as intense as how it was against City, okay, or against Chelsea that you were talking about, right? Against how it went against Mount and all those things. But yeah, this is going to be different. Liverpool and the Liverpool Real Madrid game, right? I think it's a match which I don't really know how it would go if it's a two-legged game. But since it's a one-legged game, there's there's just so much confidence that this is not going to go beyond 90 minutes. That I know for sure. So I think it's going to be a high scoring game. For some strange reason, something tells me it's going to be high scoring, but then it's tough to think of Liverpool conceding as many goals. Okay, with Van Dijk, I don't know if we're going to concede as many goals. I think you guys were pretty lucky against City, Chelsea, pulling out those late minute goals, right? But I don't know if you guys can do the same thing against Alisson, against Van Dijk, because these guys these are world beaters. Okay, but I don't want to talk too much about them. Okay, but it's still just very very interesting to just think about how this is gonna go compared to how it went last year. Because last year you guys were all over us in the first leg. I think second leg we tried a lot to push all. I think second leg was at Anfield. Okay, I think Salah had like a lot of chances. We were just pinning you all towards your in your half, and I just don't think it worked for us. If that game was a little longer, maybe we could have sneaked in a goal. Okay, but it didn't seem like Madrid were just happy to sit back and just balls ahead. I think Cruz was fantastic that game. Okay, but there again, I don't think Cruz is at the same level now currently compared to what he was last year. So I think a couple of key battles, right? I think Thiago for us is an absolute baller. You guys have three people in form of Modric, Cruz, and Casemiro. But do you think Valverde would play in midfield instead of Cruz or instead of Modric? Because I've been seeing this match. No, I've been seeing Carlo balance the two. Like play either Modric or Cruz at the same time. I don't know how many matches.
No. So I think that Valverde will start on the wing because on the right because you have Carvajal on the right for defense, and I think it's very important to use Valverde on the right to bolster that defense, because Valverde is someone who runs up and down the pitch for all of 90 minutes and more. So you can count on him to be there for the whole game. And he's a workhorse. Sorry?
Proper running machine.
Absolutely. Proper running machine. And against City, he has some insane statistics about how many kilometers he covered throughout that match. And it's not surprising to me because I see him do that in La Liga all the time, because he's a workhorse. He will continue running till the 90th, 94th minute, wherever, how much ever you want him to run back and forth. And he's extremely hardworking, and he contributes way more defensively than, say, a Rodrigo and definitely an Asensio. So, and you need that bolstering on that right for Carvajal, and it is going to be extremely important because he'll have Luis Diaz on that side, making all those runs and, basically doing what Vinicius is going to do for Real Madrid. So you need Valverde there to start with. Another thing is also Rodrigo has been more impactful. Camavinga has been more impactful as a super sub. So Camavinga, when he starts, he's still very young. This is his first UCL game for Madrid, and it's a final. And so I'm not saying that, I don't sort of fault him for this or anything. And he's still very young, but he does have a tendency to play aggressive in the opening minutes, and then if he gets a yellow like super early in the game, that affects his game later on, and then Carlo has to sort of force sub him. So both Rodrigo and Camavinga to me are more effective as super subs, and they'll be more effective when they come into the game late, and then there is like this, the pace of the game changes, because by then there is a lull. If you see that pattern in the different games, there is always this lull that happens somewhere after halftime, and when there is when both the teams are like figuring out what do we do now, and depending on the intensity of the game goes down a little bit, and around that whatever 60th minute or something, depending on how the play is going, when Carlo makes those like tactical substitutions in the form of Camavinga, and so Valverde can still play on when a Camavinga comes in or a Rodrigo comes in. He can come on because one of the others, like a Kroos, can be subbed off. And Modric is also one of those players who will give it all till the 94th minute. Like he will win the ball back. He will try and go for those. He will make those. He will contribute defensively. He'll strive for controlling the midfield. All of that until the 90th, 94th plus minute. He will do it even if he's 36 years old. So it is very valuable to have him on there, because I think him and Camavinga sort of they both balance each other, and then one can play. They can play their natural game, because Camavinga also contributes defensively. So then Modric can be a little more creative. He can do what he does best. So those are tactical substitutions, and I think they will come on later. So Valverde, I see him starting on the right over Rodrigo in the starting 11, and that's how Carlo has gone in the other games as well. That's the formation he's used, and I don't think he's going to change that today.
Right. I think I think the Luis Diaz versus Vinicius Jr. comparison makes a lot of sense. I think we never had a guy who could take players one-on-one, okay, until
Right.
played Vinny last year against Trent. And I think that is where that's when probably our team realized that, okay, we need a player who takes uh, players one-on-one, who's more confident, who will go, just again and again and again. Because Salah, Mane, they are these days not much of a, people who do one-on-ones. They take people on differently. So I think that's a very interesting thing, which could decide where the match goes. Of the two, whoever pulls off more skills, things, that's gonna go. And Carvajal, okay, I want to talk about Carvajal. I mean, is he really the weak point of Real Madrid's defense?
I don't think so. No, Carvajal is not a weak point, and on his day, he can be absolutely fantastic. So, but the thing is his consistency, and the same can be said for a lot of players, of course. But against pacey players, it's tough, and that's what scares me about the Luis Diaz thing, because that's what scared me about the Mbappe thing, and that is why you need that Valverde to counter balance that, because on the whole, to me, Carvajal is a very good, very underrated sort of defender. And if you see the key pass that came went to Rodrigo actually came from Carvajal in the game against Man City.
The first goal, right?
So, yeah, and so it's not that he doesn't contribute to Real Madrid, but the thing is, in the first leg you saw that it was easy to bypass him, and man marking, and being in the box, like anticipating those runs, and like being there, the positioning, and defensively, it's a hit or a miss, let's put it that way. So that's why it's very difficult. If Carvajal is on his game tomorrow, like tonight, if he is going to like if he decides to go out there and be the amazing defender that he is, then it's a different game. But he's not consistent, and I've been saying this for years that we need like a replacement, or at least someone in that right back position, because Carvajal also had an injury, like it was a heart condition that was reported. There was a heart condition that was reported, and they said he might not play after this, and then he came back and said, no, I can't play, and the doctors have cleared me and whatnot. but he's also very injury prone, and you cannot rely on him for that. So I've always been saying that we need a quality right back. We need a replacement, or at least groom, but that has not happened. So the right back is always one of those positions where it's very iffy for Real Madrid. So that position itself, I would say, is a little bit of a challenge always, and that's why it's like a band-aid, right? What do you do this time? This is the squad you have. So have Valverde absorb take some of that pressure off Carvajal, because as you know, Valverde contributes defensively. He does the hard work. He drops back. He covers. And Casemiro also, in fact, has been very immense this time around. Earlier, he would he plays differently now, looking at the game and where he's needed, and he's I think become a little more intelligent, and he drops back. And you could see the difference in the Man City first game and the second game when Casemiro was there and not there. So he is also going to be he's also going to play a very important role defensively. We need all the help we can. So be it Casemiro, be it Fede Valverde, everyone, I think, needs to contribute to the defense, because it's going to be absolutely key. No errors there, and we always say this, and it's easier said than done. But yeah. So definitely.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just asking.
I was done.
I was just asking, does Benzema play players like Virg, players like Matip week in, week out in the La Liga? I mean, I'm sure the answer is no, but I'm talking about the profile of players, right? I'm just very curious to see how this is going to go. Will he be able to win those first ball headers, clearances that come from the goal or from defenders? Will he be able to win it against Virg? Because Virg doesn't let any of those balls pass. He's always the one who gets the first ball. Okay, I think that's a big... that's like the biggest benefit that the Liverpool defense has seen over the last few years since he's come on, right? It was also a weakness for us. And given that Benzema is like so good in the air, he is so good in these key moments. He's a pretty big guy also. Okay, I mean, it doesn't really feel like that, but Benzema is like a pretty big guy. Okay, and to me, when I look at Benzema going ahead, up against Virg, I think it's the game is going to be done on these air balls. He's either gonna, knock things off to the right, left, to Vinicius running behind him, running around him, or maybe Virg wins those first balls, and we do not let Real break attacks or start attacks. Sorry. I mean, I think that's one of the most important places. Okay, but I want to know, what do you think? Do you think it's gonna be a game where Benzema is gonna play through the legs or with his head? Or is Cardo's system going to be such that the players around him, the ones who overlap, Vinny on one side and maybe Valverde, or it could be Rodrigo on the other side. Well, will that really work out this time?
Yeah, so I think one of the things with Benzema is that he's not your Haaland kind of a player, or he's not a conventional striker, right? Because he's there. He does so much more, and than just
striker, Benzema.
No, because he's a very well-rounded striker. Let's put it that way. He runs. His positioning is insane, because he'll run into these positions anticipating things where you would never think he would be. So it's very difficult to sort of mark him. Because where do you go? He's not going to just play in one position. He'll go down the left, he'll go down the right, he'll go down the center. He'll pop up somewhere between the two defenders. He will. His positioning is absolutely insane, and he will get there in the right position very quickly. And then the second thing is that he can create a chance out of nowhere. So one cross from Modric, or a cross from Kroos, or a cross from Vinny.
Exactly.
And it might not even be like a textbook sort of chance, okay? Like you take it on the leg and first touch and then go. It might not even be that. It'd be like, how the hell did he score from that? Like a header out of nowhere, right? But the key is his positioning. He will find those spaces somehow. And because there is such less time to sort of, you can't anticipate him getting there. It's very difficult to mark him. And that is where I think Liverpool's defense need to focus. And that's why I was saying that, it's very difficult for Benzema to carry the ball end to end. So make that run. So if they can intercept that pass where they can break the link where something is given to Benzema, that is a job well done, I would say. Then Benzema can struggle. But anticipating, like man marking him, putting one player on him will not work, because he will not be in the same position in like a span of 30 seconds. He'll be like all over the place, and you never know where if you see all his goals, they are not from like one trademark position,
Exactly.
or from a
All are
trademark
different.
shot. So it's going to be very difficult. So it's not just going to be Virgil, it's going to be everyone. That all of your entire backline has to sort of collectively focus on breaking that link to Benzema and not letting him sort of get in the spaces he gets into, which is easier said than done. I mean, I'm saying it like it's super easy, but you know how it's not, because he's made he's done this over and over and over again. He's done this. His positioning, his strategizing, his creativity. Real Madrid really loses out on the creativity when Benzema is not there. It's just not the finish, or just not the. It's his vision and his creativity, and that kind of. And then he sort of uses Vinicius, his skills, his pace, to sort of then get into that tactical position and then shoot. So and of course his individual brilliance, I'm not discounting, but it's difficult to put like anticipate a one-on-one with Benzema, because it will never be the same guy like marking him, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Yeah.
But,
I mean, so
but you have to be careful about Van Dijk. That's a good point. I agree, because his presence is so immense there. Like and I think on the whole, Liverpool tends to like retain possession. They always want to win the ball back, and they make it very difficult to, they don't give you that kind of a chance in between those defensive transitions to take control and just, like hit on the counter.
usually we starve our opponents off the ball. I think that's
exactly
what helps us a lot. Get
exactly. And Real Madrid thrives on, that thing where you one little thing, and on the counter, if you give Real Madrid a chance, then they are going to go with it.
Exactly. So that's where that earlier point came in, with Benzema and headers and crosses, because
Yes.
Benzema is that guy. Even if you throw in an average cross, he makes it look like a world class, cross.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
the only way I see a goal coming, right? I don't see any goals coming in through, some nice, funny through balls. I see goals coming in through the wings, through crosses, and then these guys being poachers. Because no matter how good you are, right? I think anybody, Van Dijk or Matip or Konate, they're going to have this one chance which they'll probably miss, one header which they may miss, and I think that would prove like super costly to us. And it's going to be interesting to see how the aerial battle is going to end up there. But I think it's
I'm really worried about Real Madrid's aerial presence. I'll be very honest. We don't have a Ramos or a Varane anymore.
In your center back area, right? But Alaba, I thought he came in with a lot of aerial strength from Bayern. So I've not been following his games here, so I can't.
He's not. No, aerial presence, I wouldn't say. His strength is more of in terms of like progressive, like ball pass, carrying the ball through, and like making those runs. And he tends to shoot, basically, like power, and that's more of his game plan than aerial presence, because I don't believe I've seen Alaba score off of headers as much in the Militao did a couple, I think, but yeah, man, I don't know what has happened to that guy in the last few games, since I think a month, at least over a month now. I just don't get it. Like he was so good, and suddenly something's happened, and he's.
Militao?
What's that?
Militao is not in the right form, is it?
Not at all. Militao's form is a huge concern. It's a huge concern. He has not been performing well for almost over a month now. It's very concerning. He gives away. He just makes like super silly mistakes, and those mistakes will be very, very costly against Liverpool, a team like Liverpool.
I think
so. His form is very worrying.
Right. I think a year or two back, we desperately wanted to sign Militao.
No,
the time
don't
when
get
he
me
was
wrong.
not
He was,
about him.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying, right? Don't get me wrong. He was immense. The first half of the season, if you would have asked me like to pick my top three players for Real Madrid, I would have said like it would have been so Benzema, Vinicius, and then I would say like Courtois, and on the defense I would actually say Militao and Alaba were fantastic
Right.
the beginning of the season, because they were, for once, Real Madrid's defense was immaculate. Like they would not, when Danny Carvajal used to perform well and Mendy was also in like good form after his injury, we were doing really well defensively. And Carlo is a sort of his natural thing. He also tried this whole thing where so initially we tried this thing where we conceded a lot of goals and we also scored like a whole lot of goals. It was all attack, and then we shifted to this whole defensive ploy, which didn't work. But Carlo tried to like persist with that kind of formation, and he was like, let's go for this defensive mentality rather than attack. And then that didn't seem to work well at all. And come that first game against PSG is when because that's how we played. That's how we played in La Liga in the Super Copa against
Was
Barcelona.
criticized for that game against PSG, right? Very defensive.
That is how we played in the Super Cup. I think it was a semis versus Barcelona. I think it was a Clásico in the Super Copa, and it was crazy because I think it went to extra time, and Real Madrid just like frustrated Barcelona that game, and it was not at all like the Real Madrid you see, and we were only trying to score on the counter. So it worked. We won the game, but when it comes to PSG, that plan didn't work at all. It backfired so badly, that game plan. So he then changed his tactic and said, okay, this is clearly not working, and so that makes sense. But the point is that our back line was solid. Even in all the other games, if you see, we didn't concede a whole lot in La Liga also, because our defense was actually saving us from a whole lot of in a whole lot of games. And Courtois, like I always say, he doesn't get the credit. So what Alisson has been to you guys, Courtois has been for us. We would not have won the league if it hadn't been for Courtois. I can tell you now, for all the form that Benzema is in and Vinicius has been in this season, if it was anyone other than Courtois between the goalposts, Real Madrid was not winning the league, definitely. Because he's been absolutely immense. And I cannot think of a goal where until now where I've seen Courtois in this season and go, what was that? What did you do? What did you just do? It has been an absolutely immense. It's probably happened because the defender has blocked his line of sight, or because the defender has like made a blunder which he cannot recover. Like he cannot cover for the defender because it was like an absolute blunder. So aside from those, it's that Grealish save as well, right? Kept us in the game. We were out otherwise. So many. I can go on and on about Courtois because
what do you think about? I mean, not just you, the fan base in general. What do you guys think about Salah? Because there is, at least in the English media, right? There's a lot of there was a lot of speech around Salah wanting revenge. Salah doing this, said this about Real, that he wants to face them in the finals and that and this. Which honestly is not a big deal for us. But then I wanted to really understand what do you guys think about Salah? Like, do you think he's dangerous right now? Do you think because also we're going to talk about Ballon d'Or next? Okay, after this, worthy winner for the Ballon d'Or, and before we get into that, so first, Salah, what do you think? How good is he?
So fantastic player, absolutely fantastic player, and anyone who says otherwise is just like, I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, if you had to say, if some fan says that, oh, Messi is an average player. I mean, come on. You can be a Real Madrid fan, but you can't deny the class of a player when you see one. And Salah is a top, like, world-class player. And you can't deny that. And what a season he had. And I know, like, post AFCON or whatever, you have to understand that, these guys are human beings. And with the number of games we are playing every year, for the national team and for the club, even club wise, the increase in the number of games every season. And
This time, no, for Salah, it was not just the number of games. He was done and dusted, when he was playing for Egypt, because out of the 6 games he played at AFCON, I think 4 of them were 120-minute games. Okay. It's
120-minute games.
120-minute games.
And it is, AFCON is a huge deal to the players, because for your Mane, and like if you see his comments, and same for Salah, because it's national team, and it's a different emotion for them, and they want to give it their all. So it's a huge deal for them. So it's not even like you can say, oh, come back and sit here and you have to play for Liverpool. You can't do that. So, and these are immense games, and we pretty much, I know we face similar things with like Vinicius and your Militao and Rodrigo and Valverde and all Benzema, all of these guys when they go on national team duty. But like you said, for Salah, first of all, the time point at which that happened, right? It was so late in the season, and it's a different thing when it's like the Euros or something, which happens in the first half of the season, where you generally have a little bit more energy, and you have that kind of that I don't want to say luxury of like being able to breathe for some more time, because the games are more evenly spaced out, I think, at that point. Cut to like now towards the end, because you're in contention for the quadruple, because you're in the games in all the tournaments. He has to play everywhere consistently. And look, it was lucky that you guys got Diaz at the right time, and he took some pressure off. So mentally, even for Salah, even that's a thing, right? Like he also has this thing that, okay, you know what, I can breathe. And so all of that, I think, factors into the fact, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he had a phenomenal season leading up to that AFCON. Yeah, like you go back and watch those games, and he was immense. And if there was a game, if there was a crucial game, and you said that, maybe Salah was injured or something, like your heart would stop. You're like, what are you saying? We can't play Salah in that game, because that's how important he was. And he truly had a fantastic season. And yeah, again, like I said, I don't believe into this whole narrative that, but what about after AFCON? They are human beings, so it's bound to happen. But yeah, absolutely. And Salah, to me, I always say this, is one of those players who can change the game. There are few players who can actually change the game and pull something out of nowhere. And for me, Salah is one of those players. So you never know. You can rest easy. You think you can rest easy. You can do whatever. But then he'll have a run. He'll pull one out of nowhere, and then Liverpool are back, because there is that quality in him. So he's a quality player all around. So
will it be Mendy that will go up against Salah? Full Mendy? At left back.
Yeah, on the left, yeah, it'll be Mendy. Yeah, we don't have anyone else to start even. Yeah, our left back is pretty much just Mendy or no one. Yeah, so it will be Ferland Mendy. And Ferland Mendy, he's good, and but I don't know what happens to him in some games. He starts thinking like he's Zidane or something, and he does like roulettes and everything in the like an hour off when there are like
once or twice actually.
And it's so scary, because you're like, there are like players from the opposition right around you. Please don't try these things now. It can be like a free goal at any moment. My goodness. So, but overall he's really good. And Mendy is also really pacey. So that also helps a lot. Like he's very quick. So
he's also big.
All that. Sorry?
He's also big. He's big as well as quick,
Yeah, he's not as big, I would think. But so I think in this team, the only sort of Casemiro is like that tank, that kind of the big bully that you would like to see would only be Casemiro, and then I would say Alaba to a certain extent.
Right.
Who interestingly is also coming off of an injury. We have not seen Alaba play after his injury. This will be the first game.
Okay.
Because he didn't play against he didn't play any of the La Liga games. He didn't play even the last game against Betis, which was supposed to be like a warm-up game to get into the groove of things, because a lot of players were rested in the game prior, But the last La Liga game, Carlos said, no, everyone has to have game time because, we need to keep going with that momentum needs to be there. But Alaba didn't play because
He wouldn't play, but it's a bummer if he's fit and if he's training and stuff like that.
he is training and he is fit. Uh, my concern is, so I don't know about Thiago and Fabinho and how they have been post injury, but for someone like Mendy, he struggles a bit after injury. He's not his usual self. At least in the second half, I've seen that when he comes back after an injury, he needs 1 or 2 games to settle,
Right.
and then he's fine. But so I don't know about Alaba because I've not seen him injured up until this point. It was such a stupid game, and he got injured in that game, and he was out. He could not play against Chelsea. You could see that when he was not 100%, he was not the Alaba that we are used to seeing, and
He kind of
Carlo
got
had to
bullied
sub him off.
actually in that game.
Yeah, exactly. And you could just see that was not at all his natural game. Like a 100% fit Alaba would never play like that, and you can see that. So Carlo had to sub him off because he was not fit. So this is going to be interesting because this is the first time we are also going to be seeing him after an injury, and I hope it's not like a Mendy case because we can't afford to have any lapses in defense, not having people 100%.
Right.
What's the update on Fabinho and Thiago? Is Thiago gonna start?
Looks
Fabinho,
like
I think,
that.
is.
Seems like that. I think
Okay.
Fabinho might start. Maybe Thiago also, because both of them were training yesterday. From
Right.
that we could see. So it's good that. But Thiago initially looked like had a very serious injury. Okay, but then
I know.
trained.
I
So
know. That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. Even Thiago's was the heel. Was it the
yeah.
Thiago's was
Initially the heel, then they said hamstring, then they said groin. There were like multiple things out there,
multiple
but
reports.
nothing
Right.
confirmed by Klopp himself. At least not that I know of.
Right. At least Fabinho got close to 2 weeks of rest.
Good 3 weeks off.
So three. Right. It was early May, I think. Yeah. Correct.
Nice, Yanuga. So I think we've covered pretty much all of the spots, soft spots, weak spots, tight spots, and I think it looks like it's gonna be one crazy game.
Yeah, I'm more excited this time. I think, and I think the nerves will hit when I get to the venue, and when with the atmosphere sort of contributing to all this. But I'm actually very, very, very excited, more than nervous this time.
excited. So that's your word. So
Yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah.
excitement or nervousness. That was
Yeah,
well,
so
I don't know.
for now the excitement is more the you have those levels that keep like real time checks when people do like where are the levels at. So it's like for now the excitement is higher and the nervousness is lower, but I guess like as it gets closer and closer to the game, it's going to shift because of the atmosphere and because of everything. And yeah, and but I think it's going to be a really good match, and I hope it is. I hope it's a very good match, and
Right.
I truly think that like it's this for me was a Real Madrid team in transition, and people didn't uh it's easy to say that oh, these guys are like whatever, they won the final, they didn't win the final, whatever, but it's important to see that in this transition period, without any sort of superstar signing, without having the players who are touted superstars in our team not being fit, and with this sort of motley crew winning the league and making it to the Champions League final and facing teams who are, I think, at the peak
Yeah, I think you beat
of their sort of
everyone
powers.
at their strongest. I think you beat Chelsea, who were kind of at their strongest under Tuchel. You guys beat City to pretty much at their strongest. I think you'll be playing us pretty much
Yeah,
at our
and
strongest.
yeah, and while I do agree that tactically and all of that, look, tactically it wouldn't have been possible because we lost Zidane out of the blue as a coach, and Carlo was like a last minute face saving stopgap alternative, to be very honest, because it happened so late. by then all the other transfers were done. Not Tuchel, but like all Pochettino, and there were so many names being thrown around. And out of the blue, those 3 days I remember, it was like, oh, who's it going to be? Is it going to be this one, that one? And people are like saying it can be Conte and all sorts of weird names, and everyone's like being linked to Real Madrid. And it was just such a crazy time. And in comes Carlos. So Perez, I thought at that time, went for like the safe choice. Who is that one guy who is on good terms with the club and has left and has been a Champions League winner
Exactly.
as a manager, and he bears no grudges. He knows this team, like the players on this team, because he has actually coached them before, and he's liked by everyone. Is an excellent man manager, so he was the safest choice to me. And Carlo didn't make any signings this time around. He was just given this team because he just signed on at the last minute, and he said
Right.
Real Madrid calls and I can't not go. So to me, this is what a wonderful season, and I know it is the same for Liverpool fans as well. Like, this team has sort of exceeded expectations. I would say from both sides.
I think it would be a
in
little
terms
bit of
of
a
achievement.
disappointment if we did not win this game against Madrid, because for the season that we've had, for the memories that we've built, experience, I think winning it is like the bare minimum. I think looking back at the season with just 2 trophies, domestic trophies, cups, wouldn't really be too satisfying. But yeah, it is what it is. Let's see. I think City are going to be here. I don't think the league is going to be an easy trophy to win. So we have to settle for Champions League and such knockout games where we can get one over them. But yeah, that it is what it is.
Yeah, and I hope we have a really good game, no matter what it is. And yeah,
Yeah,
may the
Tinika,
best
thanks.
team win, like they say.
Absolutely. May the best team win. I think it's going to be a cracker. Hope to talk to you soon. I
Absolutely.
mean, no matter what the outcome is, I think there's a lot of respect for both the clubs. I mean, we kind of
Likewise.
hate Madrid
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, but of course, there's that respect. You
Sure.
can't, right? You have to give that amount of respect. So that's where it is. I really hope that this time something nice happens, and you know, I mean, we can't expect both of us to be happy at the end of the game, but yeah. Well, I hope Liverpool wins. I'm sure you'll be hoping Madrid, but good luck.
Aporla 14. Yes.
Yeah. Good luck, Dinika.
For the
Thank you
film.
for being here. Talk to
Thank
you
you.
soon. So, bye, man.
All right. Bye.